So yesterday we have completed the parallelogram law of vector addition. So in case of parallelogram law of vector addition, when two vectors P and Q, P bar and Q bar acts at a point simultaneously at an angle theta between them, then to find the magnitude of resultant, we are having formula magnitude of resultant R is equal to square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. Okay. Next, what is the direction of the resultant means? What is the angle made by resultant vector with any one of the given vectors? Suppose with the given vector P bar, what is the angle made by resultant vector? Okay, that is alpha say. Then tan alpha is equal to Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta we got. And we observed the different applications of I said the different node points also. That means where it is applicable. I said, and practical we observed also. Whenever two forces act on the body simultaneously in the same direction. That means when two forces 5 and 10 acts on the body in the same direction, then what is the resultant force means? Immediately you said 15, because 10 plus 5 as both acts in the same direction, 10 plus 5 is the resultant force acts on the body. By using that concept, the angle between the two forces is 0 there. So we applied the same by using the parallelogram law of vector addition formulas also. We got the same result. That's why instead of suppose here that is the case, whenever two forces act on a body simultaneously in the same direction means that is easy case. If those two forces act at certain angle, that is other than 0, other than 180. 180 means when two forces act on a body exact in opposite direction. In that case also, what is the net force means? 10 minus 5 we can say. But if they acts on the same particle in different directions like this, at an angle 30 degree, 60 degree or 120 degree like that, we cannot say directly. In such case, we need the parallelogram law of vector addition. Already I said the advantage of this parallelogram law of vector addition also. Okay, then if the diagonals are d1, d2, then what is the relation among diagonals d1, d2 and the given vectors p, q, etc. Okay, so we discussed this one. Next, triangle law of vectors. Next, triangle law of vectors. Triangle law of vectors and parallelogram law of vectors both are same almost all. Triangle law of vectors, but approach is just a little bit different. Triangle law of vectors. Suppose when two vectors P bar and Q bar, two vectors P bar and Q bar acts at a point simultaneously. These two acts at a point simultaneously. Then to obtain the resultant of these two vectors, in parallelogram law of vector addition, we have taken these two vectors as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram taken from the same point, both in magnitude and direction. Then diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the same point gives the resultant of these two. Okay, that is the parallelogram law of vector addition. But here in triangular, how we can take the two vectors acts on a particle simultaneously at the same point. Here we have to take these two vectors as the two adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order, not from the same point. That is the difference between triangle law and parallelogram law of vector addition. Here, these two vectors acts on a particle must be taken as the adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order, both in magnitude and direction also. Magnitude and direction means, suppose here you see, here this is the particle. On this particle, P bar acts in this direction. So you take P bar, both in magnitude and direction. That means whatever the direction of P bar, here also you take the direction of the P bar like this only. That means this is parallel to this one, same direction. That's why this is also equal to P bar. Okay. Now, if the given vector is slided parallel to this vector is slided parallel to itself, then there is no change in the direction. There is no change in the magnitude. Then if you slide the given vector parallel to itself, when you slide the given vector parallel to itself like this, then there is no change in the magnitude, there is no change in the direction also. So that's why just you slide this vector parallel to itself and exactly at this point, you draw that vector. Here, these two are having same length. That's why magnitude is q only. Directions are also parallel. That's why it is parallel to this one, no? Magnitude is also same now. Directions are also same. That's why this is equal vector of this one. That's why it is equal to q bar. It is equal to q bar. Now you see here the given two vectors p bar and q bar both are taken as the adjacent sides of a triangle. Actually, it is the triangle. You see, this is the triangle. Adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order, not from the same point. That is the difference between triangle and parallelogram law of vector addition. Okay, so here the two vectors acts on a particle simultaneously are represented by two adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order. Then the closing side of the triangle taken in reverse order. In the same order means we have taken this side in this direction, but in the reverse order, the third side of the triangle taken in reverse order gives the resultant of p bar and q bar both in magnitude and direction. Here the angle, whatever the angle between these two vectors, here the angle between the p bar and q bar, that is also equal to theta only. Okay, similarly from this point you draw a perpendicular line. In parallelogram law of vector addition, how we derive the formula for magnitude of this resultant, here also we can, here same problem formula you will get. Okay, here by drawing the vertical line you will get a right angle triangle. So yesterday how we did the problem, how we have calculated the formula for magnitude of resultant, diagram is also same, no? That's why you'll get the same value. Here the direction of the resultant means the angle made by this resultant vector with p bar, that is alpha. Formula is also same you will get. That's why magnitude of the resultant r is equal to square root of, what is the formula you got? P square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta. And direction of the resultant is alpha. Then tan alpha is equal to q sin theta by same diagram now. Even in parallelogram law of vector addition also we got the same problem, same formula, same diagram we got. That's why if you calculate you will get the same value of formulas also. Q sin theta by p plus q cos theta. So these all are same as in parallelogram law of vector addition. That's why it is also one of the laws of vector addition. Laws of vector addition. This one or that one, both are same. Suppose when three vectors acts on a particle simultaneously, that means say three forces acts on a particle simultaneously, keeps the particle in equilibrium. Three forces acts on a particle simultaneously, keeps the particle in equilibrium. In such case, here how we can apply the triangle law of vectors. Suppose one more example. Here on a particle, one force acts in this direction. One force acts in this direction. Okay. One force acts in this direction. The other force acts in this direction. Like this. Here it is one of the forces p bar, it is q bar, it is say r bar. Here all these three forces acts on a particle simultaneously in different directions, but all lies in the same plane. Here, okay, some of the Suhas, the student asked the question, if both are same, why they introduced the triangular, as we are having already parallelogram law of vector addition. Okay, of course, I discovered parallelogram law of vector addition. You may feel difficult. Then why I can't derive the easiest formula, easiest way? In such way, you too derive. Okay, that's why these are the two different types of laws to obtain the same. Okay, we know to measure the temperature of our body, we are having thermometer. One scientist already constructed the thermometer, but different types of thermometers are there. No, there are different models are invented. Why? Which is having more classic, seems to be, which is having good look, that generally we used to purchase. Okay, similarly here also to different for the same concept, to different methods they followed, and you will get the result same. Okay, Suhas. Right. Here when three forces p bar, q bar and r bar acts on a same particle, keeps the particle in equilibrium. Is it possible to keep the particle in equilibrium? Three coplanar forces, because all these vectors or all these forces lies within the plane of the board. That's why these are the three coplanar forces. Is three coplanar forces can keep the particle in equilibrium? Yes. 3 non-coplanar forces can keep the particle in equilibrium. 3 non-coplanar forces can keep the particle in equilibrium? No. Because suppose here you see, this is one force, this is another force, this is another force. The three forces lies in different place. The resultant of these three lies in this direction. No? That's why the particle will move in this direction. That's why 3 non-coplanar forces cannot keep the particle in equilibrium. But 3 coplanar forces as here can keep the particle in equilibrium, because the resultant of these two lies in this direction. No? The resultant of these two may lie in this direction, which is exactly opposite to this one. And if the magnitude is also same, then the net force acts on the particle becomes 0. That's why the particle is under equilibrium. That's why here 3 coplanar forces can keep the particle in equilibrium. Suppose if we take 3 non-coplanar forces, here 3 non-coplanar forces acts, one is in this direction, another one is in this direction, in this direction. Suppose here one force acts in this direction, one force acts in this direction, one force acts in this direction, another force acts in this direction. The resultant of all these three lies in this direction. If you apply another force whose magnitude is equal to this one and opposite direction, then only these these three forces and this force, 4 non-coplanar forces can keep the particle in equilibrium, but 3 non-coplanar forces cannot keep the particle in equilibrium. Okay, now you see here 3 forces, P bar, Q bar, R bar acts on a particle, keeps the particle in equilibrium. Then according to triangle of vectors, how we can explain this one? Here you see, you take the 3 vectors or 3 forces acts on a particle as the adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order, both in magnitude and direction. You see, if 3 forces acts on a particle, keeps the particle in equilibrium, then we can take these 3 forces as the adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order. You see, first I will draw P bar. So P bar parallel to P bar, having same magnitude as P bar, direction also same. You take one vector. This is P bar, because this is parallel to this one. Direction is also same. Length is also same. That's why it is equal to P bar, no? Because it is the equal vector of this one. Next, parallel to Q bar. From this point, parallel to Q bar, you draw another vector. It is the underside of the adjacent sides of the triangle. So parallel to this Q bar, here you draw one more vector. Here it is parallel to this one, same having same length. Direction is also same. That's why it is the equal vector of this one. That means it is Q bar. Okay. Then you take this one. Here parallel to this one, you draw another vector, R bar. Okay, so here parallel to this R bar, you draw parallel to this one, you draw another vector R bar. Okay, then this is the closing side of the triangle taken in the same order. Here one vector takes in this direction, one vector is taken in this direction, another vector is taken in this direction. Here this must be equal to R bar. Here in this way, when 3 vectors acts on a particle simultaneously, keeps the particle in equilibrium. Okay, then the 3 vectors can be taken as the adjacent sides of a parallel triangle taken in order. You see, you apply the triangle law here now. You apply the triangle law. Actually, P bar plus Q bar is equal to this one now. You see, P bar plus Q bar is equal to, suppose you reverse this vector, R bar, then we can write minus R bar now. When you reverse the vector R bar, then it becomes minus R bar. Okay, therefore, you apply the triangle law. P bar plus Q bar is equal to, this one means minus R bar. P bar plus Q bar is equal to minus R bar, or P bar plus Q bar plus R bar is equal to 0. 0 bar. Actually, these are in vector form. That's why you have to write 0 bar. 0 bar means that is the 0 vector. Symbol for 0 bar is 0 vector. We have to write 0 vector or null vector. That's why when 3 forces keeps the particle in equilibrium, then the vector sum of the 3 forces is equal to a 0 vector. So this is very, very important formula. When three coplanar forces keeps the particle in equilibrium, then the vector sum of all the forces is equal to 0. But not the, okay, it is the null vector. It is a null vector. The vector sum of all the three forces is equal to a null vector or 0 vector. Okay, it is 0. Magnitude of 0 vector is 0 only. Okay, magnitude of 0 vector is 0 only. So this is the triangle law. Okay, now we are going to discuss very important next properties of the vectors, that is the product of vectors. So far we have discussed the addition of vectors. Subtraction of vectors already I said orally. Subtraction of vectors means, orally I said we cannot subtract one vector from the other, isn't it? Subtraction of vectors. Just briefly we will discuss subtraction of vectors. We cannot subtract one vector from the other. Suppose B bar is to be subtracted from A bar. B bar is to be subtracted from A bar. That can be represented as B bar, A bar minus B bar. Okay, but we cannot do like this. But the same resultant, suppose here you see, it is, here it is A bar, or we can write P bar also. Okay, it is B bar. Now we have to subtract B bar from A bar. Now you reverse this direction. When you reverse this direction and having same magnitude, then it becomes B bar, minus B bar. Then we can add minus B bar to A bar, no? So we can add minus B bar to A bar. That's why, because initial point of minus B bar, final point of A bar both coincide. That's why we can add A bar plus minus B bar. Okay, now the resultant of adding minus B bar to A bar is equal to this one. This is R. So R bar is equal to A bar plus minus B bar. That means if you want to subtract B bar from A bar, then we have to reverse the direction of B bar and then we have to add to this. Then you will get the A bar minus B bar value. In this way, that is the rule. It is subtraction of vectors means we cannot subtract one vector from the other directly. We have to reverse the direction of B bar and then we can add to A bar so that it gives the A bar minus B bar only. So indirectly we will do this subtraction of the vectors. Okay, next, here laws of some properties of vector addition. First one, suppose if you add P bar to Q bar, if you add Q bar to P bar or P bar to Q bar, that means when you add P bar to Q bar or Q bar to P bar, the result is same. It makes no difference. That means order of addition does not change the resultant vector. If you add Q bar to P bar or P bar to Q bar, here Q bar is added to P bar, here P bar is added to Q bar. Even you change the order of the addition, it makes no difference. That is called commutative law. So vector addition obeys commutative law. Okay, this is also syllabus in tomorrow's exam. So it obeys commutative law. Second one, vector addition also obeys associative law. So what is the associative law? We will discuss. Obeys associative law. Associative law. Suppose P bar, Q bar, R bar are three vectors to be added. P bar, Q bar, R bar are the three vectors to be added. First you add vector R bar to Q bar. When you add vector R bar to Q bar, then this Q bar plus R bar is called resultant of Q bar plus Q bar and R bar. Suppose you are given two vectors in vector form. What is the resultant of those two vectors? Means simply you add the vector sum of those two vectors. That gives the resultant of those two vectors. Okay. Okay, from first class onwards, from the beginning onwards, from 18th onwards, whatever the topics I taught, in tomorrow exam, they will ask questions from that, from the beginning onwards. Okay. Here, when you add R bar to Q bar, then you'll get Q bar plus R bar. It is the resultant of Q bar and R bar. When you add the resultant of Q bar and R bar to P bar, resultant of Q bar and R bar to P bar, or so when you add the resultant of Q bar and R bar to P bar, or resultant of P bar and R bar means P bar plus R bar, no? When you add the Q bar to R bar, P bar, when you add Q bar to P bar, that gives the resultant of P bar and Q bar. So here R bar is there. So when you add R bar to the resultant of P bar and Q bar, or when you add resultant of Q bar and R bar to the P bar, it makes no difference. That means order of addition does not change the sum of the vectors, vector addition. So if you do so, then it is called associative law. When you add the resultant of Q bar and R bar to P bar, or when you add the R bar to resultant of P bar and Q bar, it makes no difference. That is the associative law. So vector addition obeys associative law. In this last one, it obeys distributive law. Obeys distributive law. It obeys distributive law. Vector addition obeys distributive law. Suppose M is a scalar. It is just like a number. M is a scalar means it is just like a number. Okay. When you multiply P bar plus Q bar with a scalar, when you multiply P bar plus Q bar with a scalar M, just as an ordinary multiplication, how we can multiply in ordinary multiplication? Here also we can multiply P bar and P bar with scalar M. Scalar M means that may be 2, 3, 1 by 3, whatever it may be. Okay. So we multiply with them M into P bar plus M into Q bar. We can write. This is nothing but the distributive law. So vector addition obeys, vector addition obeys commutative law, associative law, and distributive law. Okay, very good, Raja. Here, these are the properties of the vector addition. Similarly, properties of vector subtraction. Properties of vector subtraction. Properties of vector subtraction. Properties of vector subtraction. Here, first one, does not obeys commutative law. Does not obeys commutative law. That means here P bar minus Q bar is not equal to Q bar minus P bar. P bar minus Q bar is not equal to Q bar minus P bar. P bar minus Q bar is not equal to Q bar minus P bar, because P bar minus Q bar is equal to minus of Q bar minus P bar we can write, but it is not equal to Q bar minus P bar. If P bar minus Q bar is suppose in this direction, Q bar minus P bar is in opposite direction. So how they are equal? When the two vectors are said to be equal, whenever their magnitudes are same, directions are also same. Here magnitudes are same, no doubt. Magnitude of P bar minus Q bar minus P bar, both are same, but directions are opposite. That's why how we can say they are equal. Okay, therefore this P bar minus Q bar and Q bar minus P bar both are not equal. That's why it does not obey commutative law. If they are equal, we can say it obeys the commutative law. Similarly, P bar minus Q bar minus R bar, P bar minus Q bar minus R bar, that is associative law. Here that associative law is also not obeyed by subtraction of vectors. So does not obey associative law. Okay, last one. It of course obeys distributive law. Obeys distributive law. That means M of P bar minus Q bar is equal to MP bar minus MQ bar. We can write M of P bar minus Q bar can be written as m into p bar minus m into q bar, we can write m of p bar minus q bar is equal to mp bar minus mq bar. When you multiply the one vector with a scalar, its magnitude becomes m times. When you multiply the vector p bar with m, then magnitude of p bar becomes p times, m times, but there is no change in the direction. Okay. Now, very, very important topic we are going to discuss, product of two vectors. So far we have discussed the addition of two vectors and the subtraction of the two vectors. Now we have to discuss the product of two vectors, most important topic in this chapter. So we are going to discuss very, very important topic, product of two vectors. Product of two vectors. Product of two vectors. Okay. Product of two vectors. First one, dot product. First one, dot product or scalar product. Dot product or scalar product. So, if the product of two vectors gives a scalar quantity, if the product of two vectors gives a scalar quantity, then such product is called dot product or scalar product. Suppose there are two vectors p bar and q bar. There are two vectors p bar and q bar. Okay. P bar and q bar are two vectors. If the product of two vectors gives a scalar, is an example for product of two vectors is a scalar. Force into displacement gives work done. No? Work is a scalar quantity. Already we discussed it. But force and displacement are two vectors. No? That means product of two vectors gives a scalar. There is a possibility. Okay. So what is the magnitude of product of two vectors? Product of two vectors. If the product of two vectors gives a scalar, whose magnitude is equal to product of magnitudes of the two vectors and cosine of the angle between the two vectors. If the product of two vectors gives a scalar, whose magnitude is equal to product of magnitudes of the two vectors and cosine of the angle between these two vectors. For example, here p bar, q bar are there like this. Force, displacement. Angle between them is theta. Then, if the product of these two vectors gives a scalar, whose magnitude is equal to product of magnitudes of the two vectors and cosine of the angle between them, then this product is called the dot product or scalar product. It can be represented as p bar dot q bar. P bar dot q bar. So this is the dot product or scalar product. So if the product of two vectors gives a scalar, whose magnitude is equal to product of magnitudes of the two vectors and cosine of the angle between them, then such product is called the dot product. So here dot product is dot product a scalar. Once in MSET they asked it, is dot product a scalar or vector, they asked it. Dot product is always a scalar quantity. Dot product is always a scalar quantity. Okay, now we have to discuss some examples where this dot product is applicable. Example we have to discuss. One, work. Suppose there is a block kept on the smooth horizontal surface. Here it is a block. Okay. Here the force is applied on the block in this direction, F bar. That means this block is pulled by means of rope in this direction by applying the force F bar. Because of that, what is the direction of the displacement of the block? Just you keep the block on the floor and by means of a rope you pull the block by applying some force. In which direction the block will move? Definitely the block will move on horizontal surface only. It will not move towards the force applied, isn't it? That's why the displacement of the block is along this direction, S bar. Okay. Here angle between force and displacement is equal to theta say. Now, in this case, what is the formula for work done? Work is equal to displacement S into force in the direction of displacement. You resolve this force into components, one component in this direction, another component in this direction. What is the force component in this direction? Here, this is the component adjacent to angle. That's why this component becomes F cos theta. This component is F sin theta. So, whenever the force is applied in this direction, the displacement of the block takes place because of this force component F cos theta only. It is a horizontal component F cos theta only. That's why, according to the definition of the work done, displacement into force or force component along the direction of displacement, that is equal to F cos theta. Already you know this formula. Okay, this is equal to, we can write Fs cos theta, no? We can write Fs cos theta, or W is equal to, in this formula you see, is F a scalar or vector? F is a scalar or vector? F is a vector, no? Displacement is a vector, no? Okay, theta is the angle between force and displacement, no? F is a force vector, S is a displacement vector, theta is the angle between these two. That's why this can be written like this, no? Because P is a vector, Q is a vector, theta is the angle between them. So when you do the dot product, this is equal to PQ cos theta. So instead of P, F is there, instead of Q, S is there. Theta is the angle between them. So that's why this can be written like this, no? Instead of F, here P, instead of P, you write F bar. Dot, instead of Q bar, here S is there. So S bar. This is equal to Fs cos theta. In this way, suppose if you are given force vector and displacement vector, both are in vector form. Force and displacement both are given in vector form. Then to obtain the work done, just you do F bar dot S bar. If the magnitude of force is given, displacement magnitude is given, and angle between the two force and displacements are given, then to obtain the work done, the formula for work done is equal to Fs cos theta. This is the work done. So in this way, here dot product can use it in, to find the work done. Next, to find the power. Another example to power. Power P is equal to rate of doing work is the power, no? That means the amount of work done per second is called rate of doing work, which is called power. So amount of doing work means, suppose in T seconds, the amount of work done by the applied force on a body is equal to W. Then work done per second is how much, means W by T only, no? Work done per second is equal to W by T, no? This is equal to P is equal to W, means we can write F bar dot S bar. Already just we got W is equal to F bar dot S bar by time T. So as the T is a scalar, it is just like number. That's why we can write F by T or S by T also. So you write S by T, because if S by T is there, there is a meaningful quantity is there. Okay, that's why F bar dot S bar by T. Displacement by time is the velocity, no? That's why this is equal to F bar dot V bar. So power is equal to F bar dot V bar. Power is a scalar quantity. It is the dot product between force and velocity. That is the power. Suppose if it is not given, then power is equal to F bar dot S bar by T. This is also formula to obtain the power. Okay, next. What is the formula for kinetic energy? Kinetic energy, Ke is equal to K, that is equal to half m into V square, no? Kinetic energy of a body is equal to half mv square, no? Therefore, here kinetic energy K is equal to half m into, here velocity means that is a vector quantity, no? Suppose the mass of the body will be given and the body moving with a velocity V bar is equal to something. That means in vector form V bar is given and asked to find what is the kinetic energy of a body. In that case, here V bar can be written as V square can be written as V bar dot V bar, because you apply the same principle here. V bar dot V bar means V into V cos, as V bar both are same vectors, angle between them is 0. That's why V into cos 0 1, V into V square. That's why V square can be written as V bar dot V bar, no? That's why I wrote here. So if you are given velocity in vector form, then to find the kinetic energy, the formula for kinetic energy is equal to half m into half m of V bar dot V bar. Here there is a dot product between two vectors. There is a dot product between two vectors. There is no dot product between a scalar and vector. That means 2 dot a bar, 2 dot p bar. We should not write like this. The product between any here the if you want to take the dot product, that dot product must be in between two vectors only. It will not be between a scalar and vector, one scalar and one vector. The product is always between two vectors only. Okay. So is dot product a scalar or vector? Means dot product is a scalar quantity. Okay. So this is also one more application. Now, what about the properties of dot product or scalar product? Properties. So we have to discuss the properties now. Properties of dot product. Properties. 1. Suppose a bar is equal to ax into y cap. Okay, one more point we have to learn first. Here, dot product between two vectors a bar dot b bar is equal to ab cos theta. Second one, when a bar is perpendicular to b bar, when a bar is perpendicular to b bar, comma, then theta is equal to 90 degree. Then what is the dot product between those two vectors? When two vectors are perpendicular to each other, then dot product between two vectors. Dot product is not applicable to two scalars also. Dot product is always in between two vectors only. Okay. So here, if a bar and b bar both are perpendicular to each other, in that case, angle between these two vectors is 90. Now, a bar dot b bar is equal to magnitude of a bar, magnitude of b bar into cos. Angle between these two means 90. Cos 90 is 0. That's why dot product between two perpendicular vectors or orthogonal vectors is 0. Since a is perpendicular to b bar. Next, what is the maximum magnitude of dot product of two vectors? Maximum magnitude of a bar dot b bar is equal to. For maximum magnitude of a bar dot b bar means when you put theta is equal to 0, cos value is maximum. Cos 0, 1. That is the maximum value. That's why ab into cos 0 means 1. So ab, since cos 0 is equal to 1. This is the maximum value. Maximum. Minimum means minimum value means theta is equal to 180. Cos 180 is equal to minus ab, no? So minimum magnitude. Minimum value is also minimum value of a bar dot b bar is equal to minus ab, because theta is equal to 180 degree. When you substitute theta is equal to 180, it becomes minus 1. So minus 1 into ab. So minus ab. That is the minimum value of dot product of two vectors. Okay. Next, suppose we are given two vectors a bar is equal to, of course we can write in any way, p bar is equal to, we can write like this. We in vector form we have to write this a bar. A bar is equal to ax into y cap plus ay into j cap plus az into k cap. Similarly, b bar is equal to bx into y cap plus by into j cap plus bz into k cap. In this way, two vectors are given. In this way, two vectors are given. You see here, fourth point, it is say fifth point. Fourth point, dot product between two perpendicular vectors is 0, we know. Now, what is the dot product between two unit vectors I cap dot j cap? I cap is the unit vector along x axis, j cap is the unit vector along y axis. These two are perpendicular to each other, no? Then what is the dot product between these two? I cap dot j cap is equal to, you apply this formula, I cap dot j cap is equal to magnitude of I cap 1 into magnitude of j cap into 1 into cos angle between I cap and j cap. I cap is along x axis, j cap is along y axis. That's why it is 90. Then it is equal to 0, no? That means dot product between two dissimilar unit vectors is 0. Therefore, this is also equal to j cap dot k cap, also equal to k cap dot I cap. Okay. Next, similar here, one more point. Dot product obeys commutative law. That means if you do a bar dot b bar or b bar dot a bar, it makes no difference. if you write a bar dot b bar, that is equal to ab cos theta. If you write b bar dot a bar, ba cos theta, you will get ba or ab. These are the scalars, numbers. These are. If you multiply 3 into 4 or 4 into 3, it makes no difference now. Similarly, here also, if you do a bar dot b bar or b bar dot a bar, it makes no difference. That's why dot product obeys commutative law. Dot product obeys commutative law. Obeys commutative law. But does not obeys associative law, because a bar dot b bar dot c bar we cannot write, because suppose if you take the dot product of any two vectors, that gives a scalar. In between a scalar and vector, there is no dot product, no. That's why associative law does not obeyed by this dot product. So there is no dot product, does not obey. Dot product does not obey associative law. Dot product does not obey associative law. Dot product obeys distributive law. Obeys distributive law. Because a bar dot b bar plus c bar is there. So first a bar dot b bar we have to write a bar dot b bar plus a bar dot c bar we have to write a bar dot c bar. So it obeys the distributive law. So dot product obeys commutative law, does not obey associative law, because it does not exist. Because when you do the dot product between two vectors, first already I said, explain, no, a bar dot b bar dot c bar means b bar dot c bar is a scalar. A bar dot scalar, that does not exist. That's why dot product does not obey associative law. Okay. Which one I want to explain? Vita Reddy. Vita Reddy, which I want to explain? You want to explain? Associative law. Explain 5. Okay. Here, if you do the dot product of a bar and b bar or b bar and a bar, the value is same. That means if you reverse the dot product order of the dot product, it makes no difference. Then if it is so, that is called that obeys commutative law. Okay. But dot product does not obey associative law. In case of associative law, a bar dot b bar dot c bar, a bar dot b bar dot c bar does not exist, even does not exist, because b bar dot c bar is a scalar, a bar dot one scalar. There is no dot product between a scalar and a vector. Dot product is always in between two vectors only. But here if you take like this, then here it is a dot product between a vector and a scalar, because b bar dot c bar gives a scalar. That's why it does not exist. That's why it does not obey associative law. Okay. Now dot product between two dissimilar unit vectors is 0. Dot product between two similar unit vectors. Similar unit vectors means I cap dot I cap. I cap dot I cap. Okay. I will explain clearly because somebody asked me. Dot product between similar unit vectors means, suppose you take a bar dot a bar. A bar dot a bar is equal to, according to this formula, a into b also equal to a only into cos. As it is a bar, both lies in the same direction. That's why angle between them is 0. Cos 0, 1. So a into a square, no. So dot product between two similar vectors is equal to a square. Okay. Example, I cap dot I cap. Dot product between two similar unit vectors, I cap dot I cap. I cap means I cap modulus. Magnitude of I cap means 1. Magnitude of I cap means 1. Cos I cap both lies in the same direction. That's why cos 0. 1 into 1 into 1. That means 1. So dot product between similar unit vectors, I cap dot I cap, j cap dot j cap, and k cap dot k cap, all are equal to 1. Dot product between dissimilar unit vectors is 0. It is very, very important formula. Dot product between similar unit vectors is equal to 1. And dot product between two similar vectors is equal to a square. Okay. Now, dot product obeys commutative law. Already in addition, we observed the commutative law. According to that, if you do a bar dot b bar or b bar dot a bar, it makes no difference. Both are equal. If you write a bar dot b bar or b bar dot a bar, it makes no difference. That's why both are same. Okay, that's why dot product obeys commutative law. Does not obeys associative law. Does not obeys associative law. That means a bar dot b bar dot c bar does not exist even. Does not exist because b bar dot c bar is a scalar. B bar dot c bar means it is the dot product between b and c. That is a scalar. In between a scalar and one vector, there is no dot product. That's why it does not exist. So does not obeys associative law. Obeys distributive law. Obeys distributive law. That means a bar dot b bar plus c bar you take. So we can write as usual in algebra how we can do. Here also we can do same. But dot product we have to write a bar dot b bar plus a bar dot c bar. A bar dot c bar. It is the distributive law in dot product. So dot product obeys distributive law. Okay. Next, sixth point. Sixth note point in dot product. Suppose a bar is a given vector which is equal to ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. B bar is equal to bx I cap plus by j cap plus bz k cap. Two vectors are given like this. Of course, we can write x1 I cap plus x2 j cap plus x3 k cap. Sorry, x1 I cap, y1 j cap, z1 k cap. B bar is equal to x2 I cap plus y2 j cap plus z2 k cap. We can write like this also. Okay. So here, now dot product between these two. That means a bar dot b bar is equal to a bar means ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap dot. Next b bar means bx I cap plus by j cap plus bz k cap. Okay. Now, what is the dot product between these two? First, you do the dot product of this one and this one. That means ax I cap dot bx I cap. Okay, you keep in brackets. Next, plus ax I cap dot by j cap. ax I cap dot by j cap plus ax I cap dot bz k cap. ax I cap dot bz k cap. So we have done dot product of ax I cap with each and every term in this. Okay, now next with this you have to do the dot product of everyone. Now plus ay j cap dot bx I cap. ay j cap dot bx I cap. Next plus ay j cap dot by j cap. Okay, plus into plus only, no? ay j cap dot bz k cap. Now we have done dot product between ay j cap dot and this total vector. Next remaining last one, dot product of this one and this one. az k cap dot bx I cap. bx I cap. Okay, plus into plus az k cap dot by j cap. az k cap dot by j cap. Plus into plus az k cap dot bz k cap. Of course, after simplification you will get only 3 terms. Very simple. Okay, somebody Vishwanath already he wrote. Okay, this is equal to, you see, ax and bx are the scalar quantities. That's why ax bx you can directly multiply as in algebra into I cap dot I cap. plus ax into by, ax by into I cap dot j cap, plus you see ax bz into I cap dot k cap, plus ay bx into j cap dot I cap, plus ay by into j cap dot j cap, plus ay bz into j cap dot k cap. Finally here plus azbx into k cap dot I cap, plus azby into k cap dot j cap, plus azbz into k cap dot k cap. Already in previous note points we observed that dot product between two similar unit vectors is equal to 1. So this is 1. It is 0. Okay, so this term becomes 0. This term becomes 0. This term becomes 0. It is 0. It is 1. It is 0. It is 0. It is 1. So remaining is, so a bar dot b bar is equal to, this is 1. That's why we have ax bx. Since I cap dot I cap is equal to 1, j cap dot j cap is equal to 1, k cap dot k cap is equal to 1. Okay, that here I cap dot j cap is there. I cap dot j cap or j cap dot k cap or k cap dot I cap. It is the dot product between two similar unit vectors. That is 0. That's why I cap dot I cap is 1. That's why it is ax plus ax bx. It is 0. It is 0. Okay, next ay bx into j cap dot I cap. That means dot product between dissimilar unit vectors 0. Ay by plus ay by into j cap dot j cap means 1, plus it is 0. J cap dot k cap is equal to 0 no. Next az bx into k cap dot I cap, it is 0. Az by into k cap dot j cap 0, and az bz into k cap dot k cap is equal to 1. So finally after simplification you will get directly this formula. You need not write everything. Just if you want to do the dot product between two vectors which are given in vector form, then simply you see ax bx means product of x components of the two vectors, x components of the given vector plus y components of the given vector plus z components of given two vectors. That means ax bx plus into plus plus ay by plus into plus plus az bz. That is the answer simply. So in this way we have to do the dot product. Okay, suppose sometimes we will be given a bar b bar are in vector form. From a bar dot b bar is equal to ab cos theta. We are given a bar b bar both are in vector form given. They asked to find what about the angle between the two vectors. You are given a bar b bar in vector form. How we can find the angle between them? Therefore from this formula cos theta is equal to, we can write a bar dot b bar by ab no. If we are given a bar b bar in vector form, then we can find dot product between them. We can also find the magnitude of a bar and magnitude of b bar. That's why if you substitute here, you will get cos theta no. From this theta can be calculated no. So in order to find the angle between the two given vectors which are given in vector form, we use this formula. Okay, we use this formula, right? Next here in this way we can do the dot product between the two vectors. Next, one more point. Eighth one, scalar component, very important, of b bar along a bar. Scalar component of b bar along a bar. Suppose here this is a bar, this is b bar. Okay, here what is the component of b bar along a bar? They asked it. A bar b bar both are given in vector form. A bar, B bar both are given in vector form. Okay. Then we have to find the component of B bar along A bar. Means to find the component of B bar along A bar, generally we have to draw a perpendicular line onto x-axis or horizontal line. No? Then this perpendicular line intersects the A bar vector at this point. Now this magnitude is the component of this B bar along A bar. Component of B bar along A bar. Okay, now suppose the angle between these two vectors, you imagine theta. We are given only A bar, B bar, not theta. Just we are given B bar and A bar given. They asked the component of B bar along A bar. Now you tell me, suppose the magnitude of B bar here is say B. Magnitude of B bar is B. Magnitude of A bar is equal to A. Magnitude of B bar is equal to B. We know. Now, what is the component of B bar along A bar? Tell me. Magnitude of B bar along A bar means this value. It is say P. It is say Q. Then what is OP value? OP. From the diagram, you take cos theta. From the diagram, of course, we can write directly. We can write component of this vector along this direction is equal to B into cos theta. No, this component is equal to B into sin theta. We know. Okay, that's why. So here it is equal to B cos theta, or in other words, cos theta is equal to OP by hypotenuse in this right angle triangle. Means B. From this OP is equal to B cos theta. OP is equal to B cos theta. OP means that is the component of B bar along A bar. Component of B bar along A bar. Therefore, component of B bar along A bar is equal to what is the component of B bar along A bar means that is equal to OP. OP is equal to what we got? B cos theta. B cos theta. You multiply with A, divide with magnitude of A. It makes no difference now. Multiply with A and divide with A. It makes no difference. Okay. So this is equal to now it can be written as AB cos theta, because A into B cos theta by A. Okay. AB cos theta can be written as, because AB are given in vector form, A bar, B bar. That's why AB cos theta can be written as A bar dot B bar no by A. This is the scalar component of scalar component of B bar along A bar. It is the scalar component of B bar along A bar. Okay. Okay. Somebody asked the example for this. I will say that example. Next here, 9th one. After this vector component of B bar along A bar, after it was after it is completed, then I will explain that one. So vector component of B bar along A bar. Vector component of B bar along A bar. Okay. Same diagram. It is A bar. It is B bar. It is A bar. It is O. Okay. Now this point is say P. This point is say Q. OP bar is equal to here. This is A bar. So in the diagram, OP bar is equal to A bar. OQ bar is equal to B bar. Component of B bar, vector component of B bar along A bar we need. That means the component of this one along this vector we have to find. Okay. Now already here you see component of this vector along this direction. Component of this vector along this direction already we got scalar component. Okay, that means in this direction we need the vector component. This is a R. So OR is equal to, OR means that is the scalar component of B bar along A bar. Already we got A bar dot B bar by A. It is a scalar component. So vector component of B bar along A bar is equal to OR bar. We need vector component of B bar along A bar. It is the scalar component of B bar along A bar. To find the vector component, this must be expressed in vector form. That's all. Okay, to express this in vector form, in this direction, A bar is there already. So in this direction, unit vector n cap is equal to this given vector by modulus of that given vector, no? When you divide this given vector with their magnitude, that gives the unit vector in this direction, no? So in this direction, the unit vector is n cap, which is equal to A bar by A. Now, you multiply with this magnitude, you multiply the unit vector, then this gives in vector form. Therefore, OR bar is equal to OR into n cap. Okay, this is equal to OR means A bar dot B bar by A into n cap. N cap means A bar by A. Okay, therefore this is equal to A bar dot B bar of A bar whole by A into A square. That means magnitude of A square. This is the vector component of B bar along A bar. Vector component of B bar along A bar. Along A bar means parallel to A bar. What is the vector component of B bar? Perpendicular to A bar. Vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar. So far we obtained scalar component of B bar along A bar, vector component of B bar along A bar. We got. Now vector component, most important, definitely based on this, definitely one question will be asked. Vector component of B bar along A bar. Suppose if vector component of A bar along B bar, if they ask, then A bar dot B bar by into B bar by B square we have to write. If they ask vector component of A bar along B bar, if they ask like that, okay. Vector component of B bar along A bar, it is OP, which is equal to A bar. It is OQ, which is equal to B bar. Okay. Now vector component we need. Vector component of B bar not along, perpendicular to A bar. Perpendicular to A bar. Along already we got, no? Perpendicular to A bar. Here vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar means first, what is the scalar component of B bar perpendicular to A bar? Here you see, this is the perpendicular to A bar, no? It is perpendicular to A bar. This is say R. RQ is perpendicular to A bar. The component of B bar perpendicular to A bar means this only, no? This in vector form we have to find. Already we know the vector component of B bar along A bar means this one. OR bar is equal to, already we know. OR bar is equal to how much? We got OR bar is equal to, you write that one. A bar dot B bar of A bar by A square. Already we know. A square, we know. Next, already OQ bar is no. So here, vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar means that lies in this direction. Because if you divide the B bar into component, one component in this direction, another component in this direction. This is parallel to this one. That's why vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar means that is RQ bar. Here we have to find, in the diagram, we have to find RQ bar. That's all. Here you apply the triangle law, vector, addition of the vectors principle. Here OR bar plus RQ bar, that means vector component perpendicular to A bar lies in this direction. So RQ bar is equal to OQ bar, we can write now, from triangle ORQ. OR bar plus RQ bar is equal to, because RQ bar can be added to OR bar because their initial vector coincide with the final vector of this OR bar. So the resultant of these two is given by the line joining the initial vector of this OR bar and final vector of P bar. Okay. So initial vector of, 1 minute. Okay, initial point of first vector and final point of second vector. When you join these two, it gives the resultant of these two. That is equal to OQ bar. OR bar means already there. We need RQ bar only. So RQ bar is equal to OQ bar minus OR bar. Therefore, RQ bar is equal to OQ bar means OQ bar is equal to B bar only, no? B bar minus OR bar means this one. A bar dot B bar of A bar by A square. So this is the vector component perpendicular to A, vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar. Vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar means this one. That RQ bar is equal to this one. So here, this is the vector component of B bar perpendicular to A bar. Suppose if you want to obtain vector component of A bar perpendicular to B bar, then A bar minus A bar dot B bar of B bar by B square. We have to write like that. Okay. Somebody asked, what is the example for theta? Somebody asked. Okay. Here, example I want to say, A bar dot B bar is equal to AB cos theta. From this, cos theta is equal to A bar dot B bar by AB, no? So what is the example for this? Suppose we are given A bar is equal to 2i cap plus 3j cap minus k cap. B bar is equal to I cap minus 2j cap plus k cap. We are given like this. Okay. Then angle between these two is how much? They asked. Example. Angle between these two is how much? Here, to find the angle between them, we need dot product of two vectors, no? That means cos theta is equal to, from that formula, A bar dot B bar by AB. That is equal to, what is A bar dot B bar? A bar dot B bar means, here the x components of the two unit vectors I cap must be multiplied. 2 into 1, 2, plus into minus, minus. Y components product, 3 into 2, 6, plus into minus, minus. Z components product, K cap coefficient is 1, K cap coefficient is 1 here. There is no any number. That's why 1 into 1, 1. Because minus into plus, minus already we wrote. Okay, into 1 into 1. So 1. Whole by magnitude of A bar. That means magnitude of this one means, what is the magnitude of this one? Square root of 2 square plus 3 square plus 1 square. Because coefficient of K is 1. Even you write minus 1 or plus 1 square, it makes no difference. Into square root of magnitude of this one, 1 square plus coefficient of J cap is 2, 2 square plus coefficient of K is 1, 1 square. Or here we can write minus 2 whole square also. Even you write minus 2 whole square, you will get the same answer. So this is equal to minus 5 by, what about this one? 4 plus 9, 13, 14. So root 14 into 1 by here 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1, 6, root 6. That is equal to minus 5 by root, what is the value? 84, no? 84. Okay, cos theta is equal to 84. Therefore, theta is equal to how much? Cos inverse of minus 5 by root 84. In this way, we have to write. This is the angle between the two vectors. Okay. It is the angle between the two vectors. Minus 5 by root 84. Okay, now, here we see, suppose we got cos theta is equal to, after simplification, if we got 1 by 2, if you get 1 by 2, cos theta is equal to 1 by 2 means theta is equal to 60 degree, no? That's why theta value 60 we have to write. Suppose if you get the cos theta value 0, cos theta 0 means theta is 90, no? That's why theta is equal to 90. In this way, we have to write. Okay, this is the dot product of the two vectors. Okay, it's a very, very important one. Okay, next evening also we have to take. Okay, definitely I will send the notes to you. I will take evening class. I will take 6 to 7. Shall I take the class from 4 to 5 or 6 to 7? Okay, leavers sir means here tomorrow we have to write exam, no? Okay, 4 to 5 I will take. Okay, 4 to 5:30, very good. 4 to 5 I will take the class, evening class. In that we will discuss the cross product and some problems we have to discuss. Okay, right. Have a nice day. Thank you. I'm signing out.